thank you everyone. Greetings again. Give thanks yet again for this prestigious event in this southern hemisphere for me. I know some of you are in the northern hemisphere, but it's dark in our side. Okay, so basically I'll just be brief on the aspect of mining. Okay, so so now here's the thing. When our ancestors, when they came here, that is the timeline we are getting, that is 500,000 years ago. So what was the reason for them to come here? That's the big question. Well, obviously it was because of mining. They needed to mine gold, and not just any gold, monatomic gold. As we know that when you further purify gold, you get the diatomic one, which is the one that we usually know, the one that we always see on TVs, the gold bars. And then you have the monatomic one, which is whitish yellow. Now this monatomic gold has very special properties that can even so-called do quantum, what is this thing called? Quantum, I just forgot the name, will come back to me, but it's where an object in another place, it can be 50 light years away, where if the object reacts here and the same object on that place react, they will react at the same time. I just forgot what the name of that thing. I think it's quantum resonance or something. But anyway, they needed this material because
Brother,
of,
is that entanglement? Is that what
yeah, thank you, quantum entanglement. Thank you, Elder. Quantum entanglement. Thank you. So those kind of properties, also levitation, a lot of things. So basically, predominantly what they needed the gold for was to repair the atmosphere of our home planet, which, if you can remember on the previous presentation I made, I said that when you a person, when he has time, can search on Google on the NASA files, or you can just write NASA / and then you write Planet X. So that is the official name they gave this planet, which is the planet of which we find out that it is the planet where the Anunnaki come from, which is where we come from. So now that planet had a problem with its atmosphere. So now they needed to repair that atmosphere because it was resulting in a drought, which resulted in the scarcity of food, which is obviously caused a lot of famine and death, sickness to the peoples on the planet. And so the king, scientists, luckily, but I won't go into that detail of Alalu, which is basically the Anunnaki who found planet Earth. But he found planet Earth, and he told the head command of the planet, and they sent 50 men to come and find out. And when they find out, really there is gold. And by that time, 500,000 years ago, when our ancestors arrived, gold, there was still what is called alluvial gold. And like gold was such an abundance that time that there were rivers of what's happening in Congo right now. It was like happening almost everywhere in the world, where gold was just running on rivers. And so that when that depleted, and then they had to come to this to the Abzu. The Abzu, now we find out that it's southern Africa. So when we go deeper, we find that in southern Africa there's the mines in that area of Johannesburg called Witwatersrand in Afrikaans, which is Whitewater River. And yeah, so around those areas there are ancient mines there. Those mines date more than 200,000 years ago. Those mines there. So we come to find out these are the mines that the Anunnaki when gold in the because when they landed on this place, West Asia, mistakenly called Middle East. They landed on that area when they started to mine. But when that gold depleted on those rivers and places, and Enki, which is the chief scientist, the one who was in charge of the mining operations of the Anunnaki, when he found out there was a large amounts of gold in the southern Africa, that's when they started to mine this gold. And also there are other gold mines, not just in the area of Johannesburg. There are also other gold mines in southern Africa where it dates more than 100,000 years ago. So now that is the history of gold in relations to humans and what is currently happening today in the mining industry. All this information comes from the first black people who mined here gold in the world, which predates even the creation of humans, because we know that scientifically humans came to being 200,000 years ago, regardless of how we believe they came about. But if the gold mines date more than 200,000 years ago, which is the time before the humans were in place here in the world, so to say, then obviously there was a sort of another group of entities who were mining this gold because they found tools there, stone tools, shovels. They found a lot of iron, what do you call these things? Iron and pickaxes and iron hammers. There's a lot of tools which could be confusing for Homo erectus to have that sort of sophistication to build iron tools, if we would say that they were the ones who were mining there before the human Homo sapiens. So let me just hold there for now. So that is basically the brief history of where mining comes from. And the mining comes from the Anunnaki, our African black gods who first came to this world to mine so that they can repair their planet. Thank you.
Right. Thank you very much, General. Brother Menzi. Brother Menzi. Yeah, Brother Menzi, since you also know about Anunnaki and mining, would you like to say a few words before we move to the African mining vision?
Thank you. Just few things for sharing. The way
We can't hear you very well, just so you know.
can you hear me now? Can you hear me
better.
now?
We are hearing better.
Okay. It's been almost 20 years or more that I've been studying the history of the planet, what they call Nibiru. I won't give you a background of myself, but for many years I was a Rasta priest in the Nyabingi order of Melchizedek. So one gets exposed to a lot of information depending on the kind of elders you meet and the kind of people that you meet along the path. So in those years, I got to study a lot and then found myself, because I'm also a writer, I found myself interested in science fiction also. Now in science fiction, there's different levels of science fiction. There's fantasy, and then there's science fiction based on actual history. The writer just basically would fictionalize a historical narrative, put some kind of narrative spin to it, but it's actual history. In one of those times, I found myself reading up on a writer by the name of Nicholas Sitchin. I think his name was Sitchin. I think it was Nicholas Zachariah Sitchin, right? East European writer. I forgot which part of East Europe. Long story short, I'm summarizing this long story. Now, Nicholas Sitchin started writing in the 1940s and 50s, and I think his book became famous in the 1970s, 70s and 80s. So I read about 8 of his books, this Nicholas Sitchin. Now, this Nicholas Sitchin has something. The first book I read was called planet, right? And the basic summary of it that they were writing, it was not science fiction books, but it was books of what nowadays people that are anti-conspiracy theory, they would call them pseudo history, or alternative history, the word that they would use actually. When they say pseudo history, really insulting, but it is what is called alternative history, not the history that the general academically trained anthropologists would publish, right? So again, I'm summarizing. So after reading Nicholas Zachariah Sitchin's books, I started digging deeper with who is Zachariah Sitchin and where does he get this information? And then the basic thing this information, including the words Anunnaki and all that, was Sumeria, right? Sumeria, ancient Sumeria. Now, for those who study Kemetic, I'm into Kemetic tradition and Kemetic science. So what you find in the Kemetic science is that there is a battle, an ongoing ideological battle between those who believe that Sumeria is an older civilization than Africa the continent, right? Because there are some among us who believe that Sumeria, Israel, or Palestine, if you or the Near East, is all basically part of the African continent. There is very little that separates Sumeria and the African continent. So again, I said I'm summarizing. So some of the information that one finds. Let's say, again, part of this history basically tells us that the Anunnaki, the An, there's different tribes, different levels of celestial beings. They came and landed in Sumeria, moved to Egypt, and came down all the way to Zimbabwe and down to Southern Africa, and they were involved in mining, right? But they are mining again, like the brother already mentioned. They were mining this gold so that they can go and
Right. But Menzi, your line is breaking. I don't know if it is mine. Maybe it's mine.